To order then, and hopefully Rami can join us. If we can get the roll call, Mr. Lapin, would you handle that?
Yep. Chair Steve Gottlieb.
Present.
Rosemary Kornacki.
Present.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz.
Present.
Rami Sweden. Joe Vassallo.
Present.
We have a quorum because we need 3 out of the 5. And Mr. Chair, we also have on the meeting City Manager Mark Miller, City Attorney Lori Bloom, and our new Finance Director, Rob Malisic.
Hi, Rob. I know we've not met in person, but welcome. I look forward to an opportunity to meet you in person.
And we also have thanks. And we also have somebody from our IT department as well. I believe it's Dave is on there as well.
Dave is called IS.
Correct.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Well, let's see. We've got our roll call. Resolution to conduct the electronic meeting. Do you feel the posting is adequate, or would you like me to read the proposed resolution to conduct the meeting?
Yeah, you are certainly welcome to read it. I'll let City Attorney Bloom.
Well, yeah, if you could read it, or I know Mr. Lapin also has it, so it'd be preferable just because this is electronic and this is going to be broadcast as well.
Whoever, Lori, who did you think would be the best choice for that?
I know Glenn's got it ready and handy, and so if you could read it, that would be helpful.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. So this is a proposed resolution to conduct an electronic meeting. Resolved that the Troy Brownfield Redevelopment Authority hereby allows all members to participate in public meetings by electronic means during the state of emergency as allowed by Article 2, Section 10 of the bylaws. Members participating electronically will be considered present and in attendance at the meeting and may participate in the meeting as if physically present. However, members must avoid using email, texting, instant messaging, and other such electronic forms of communication to make a decision or deliberate toward a decision. Resolved that the Troy Brownfield Redevelopment Authority hereby establishes public participation rules during the state of emergency to provide for 2 methods by which members of the public can be heard by others during meetings. Email sent to economicdevelopment@troymi.gov and received by 9 a.m. on the day of the meeting will be read during the public comment period of the meeting. Voicemail left at 248-524-3314 and received by 9 a.m. on the day of the meeting will be played during the public comment period of the meeting. Both email and voicemail public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. And that's the resolution.
And do we need to have a vote on that, Lori?
I make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Motion to approve, seconded by
Rosemary.
Rosemary. All those in favor say aye and hold your hand up in front of the screen.
Actually, Mr. Chair, you do need to do a roll call. I'm sorry, but Mr. Lapin is prepared to do that for each of the votes.
Okay, well, Mr. Lapin, would you please do a roll call vote?
The roll call is Chair Steve Gottlieb.
Yes.
Rosemary Kornacki.
Yes.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz.
Yes.
Joe Vassallo.
Yes.
Rami Sweden, who I don't think is on the line yet. Motion passes.
Motion passes 4-0. The next item on our agenda is election of officers. We have a pretty small crowd, but for what it's worth, unless there's a runoff here, I would certainly like to remain chair. Rosemary, oh, I'm sorry. So
Can I approve of that? Is that, we need a resolution? Steve volunteered, and I think that's a grand idea.
Reed?
Okay, is that ready for a vote, Laurie? Can we move forward? Or do you want other officers also?
I'm guessing that Ms. Kornacki made the motion to appoint Mr. Gottlieb as chair, and Mr. Vassallo seconded that motion.
Correct.
Thank you for clarification, Lori.
All those in favor,
The roll,
Through the-
do the roll.
you want to go through the separate roll call? Okay.
Chair Steve Gottlieb,
Yes.
Rosemary Kornacki,
Yes.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Joe Vassallo,
Yes.
Ronnie Swiden, I don't believe is on the line yet. Motion carries. We also have
Okay.
vice chair and secretary treasurer as well.
Rosemary, are you still willing to be vice chair?
Yes, I'll do that, sure.
Okay, then I nominate Rosemary for vice chair.
I second that.
So nominated and seconded by Joseph. Mr. Lapin, would you give us the roll call vote, please?
Steve Gottlieb,
Yes.
Rosemary Kornacki,
Yes.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz,
Yes.
and Joe Vassallo.
Looks like
Joe Vassallo,
I think Joe froze for a sec.
Joe froze.
Wonderful go-to meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully he will unfreeze soon.
Yes. So in any event, we've at this point had 3 of 4 voting members. Would that indicate that it's passed?
That is sufficient. Yes, that is sufficient. And just so that you know, the compromise in allowing the electronic meetings is that you do need to do a roll call vote for all of them, for all of the meetings. That's to allow to have an electronic meeting. And it looks like,
I get it.
I can now hear you again. I'd lost connection, but I'm back on.
Okay, Joe, we were doing a roll call. We came to your name on the,
Yes.
yes,
Approved.
okay,
Sorry.
good. Motion passes.
And our next position is for secretary.
/ treasurer, I guess.
Secretary.
Nominate Glenn Lapin.
So motion for Glenn Lapin. We need a second for that.
I'll second it, sure.
Rosemary seconded it. Mr. Lapin, would you give us the vote, please?
Steve Gottlieb,
Yes.
Rosemary Kornacki,
Yes.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz,
Yes.
Joe Vassallo,
Yes.
motion carries.
Excellent. So I think that takes care of our requirements for voting for positions, for elections. Let me get back to our agenda here. Just takes a second to find it.
I'll make a motion for the meetings for 2000, or is that where we're at for 20, rest of this year and next year, or just this year?
You don't need a motion. We already did a motion in the last meeting for this coming year. This is just a reminder that what the meeting schedule is for the remainder of the year.
That was number 5. So for number 6, we'd like to get an approval of the minutes from October 15th, 2019. Do we have someone to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Moved by Joseph Vassallo to approve, seconded by Rosemary Kornacki. Mr. Lapin, would you take the vote, please?
Steve Gottlieb,
Yes.
Rosemary Kornacki,
Yes.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz,
Yes.
Joe Vassallo.
Approve.
Motion carries.
And item 7, old business, Mr. Lapin.
Yeah, just a couple of updates on projects that were previously approved by the authority. We have 2 projects in particular that are going to be going through some changes. The Regency of Troy project, which is at Maple Road and Axtell. As you recall, that was approved as a senior assisted living housing complex. They tore down the old McGregor manufacturing plant, according to plan. And as markets have changed and other senior assisted livings have opened up, they've decided that they're going to be changing their plan a little bit. So they're going to have to resubmit to the planning department. It actually looks like preliminarily they're going to probably put some retail or something up in front or some kind of commercial use in front on Maple with some senior assisted living behind it. But probably the number of units might change, probably for the lower compared to where it was before. So we expect some changes on the Regency project, and we expect them to be providing site plans and gaining approval from the Planning Commission and then Planning Department first before moving forward. We will bring it back to you if there's substantive changes to that plan, which we expect we will be. Also, the Harrison Poolside Troy project. That's the residential project by the Michigan Design Center off of Maple. That the developer decided that, looking at the market, looking at construction costs, he's going to tweak the design a bit. He may change the number of units. He's going to, look at some different design factors that he believes will help on the construction side of things and also help on the market side as well. So he's taking a look at his project. Again, he's working with the planning department as well in terms of getting the plans to them for approval. And the other ones are rolling along. Uptown Apartments, that's behind MJR. That's the residential. Construction continues along very nicely. They're looking really nice as well. So those will be coming online. That's around 342 units approximately of residential housing. As you recall, it's a FedEx site. And that was the site of a former commercial retail center that was abandoned for a number of years and quite blighted as well. So it's nice to have a really good use on that site, particularly residential in that area. So that is rolling along very nicely. Somerset Plaza is the retail center. That's Maple and Crooks Road, Maple and Coolidge Road. They are pretty much done. Tenants have been moving in. They're not 100% occupied yet, but several new tenants have opened up. SVS Vision, Duck Donuts have opened up, Detroit Wing Company, First Watch, and several others have opened up there. They did a nice job renovating, and they expect a restaurant or two also to open up. But of course, we hit the pandemic, and so that caused some delays on that as well, as we all know. But they are rolling along.
Thank you.
That's the update. Yep.
Any comments? In that case, we'll move on to new business, which I understand is the critical part of our meeting here. And I'm sure everybody had an opportunity to review the budget 2020 or 2021 budget. Any questions for Mr. Lapin?
And Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to give an overview, and Finance Director Rob Malice can also chime in as well with any comments. And then we can be happy to answer any questions.
I appreciate the overview, and I just want to make sure from as I reviewed it, it looks like we're increasing by just around $80,000 annually. Is that a fair statement? Was I understanding that accurately?
Yeah, although I probably wouldn't extrapolate that over time. Rob, not sure you have a comment on that.
Right. I was going to say that's the increase because of MJR making their payments, and then that's paying off the loan. So that's why there was an $80,000 increase. You are correct, Mr. Chair.
Rob, is that all right with MJR, with them being closed for so long? Will that impact our capture?
I'll defer to Mr. Lapin on that. I believe nothing's changed at this point, though.
Yeah, it should not change anything. That was through our revolving loan fund. So the revenue that's coming in is going to pay the city back as opposed to going to the developer. So we provided them funding up front to help get the old Kmart property down. And then we are getting paid back out of the recapture on that.
I just had a before you go to the overview, when you do the overview, Rob, is it possible, and I know it's somewhat speculative, but if you could give a inclusion of what this means with the current pandemic and how that could impact our responsibilities and our income and obligations.
So generally speaking, in terms of an overview, you look at you probably have them in front of you. You have the revenue side first. That is what is being collected from the tax capture. And we have it broken down by project. The TCF project is an old project, goes back many years. That's over on Coolidge, just north of south of Maple. So showing kind of what the actual is for the past year, estimated and budget going forward. MJR, we talked a little bit about revenue coming in for that. Again, going to repay the city through that revolving loan fund. Somerset Shops, Maple and Coolidge, Regency of Troy. That is going to change because the project is delayed. So that is based upon original estimates, but we'll expect that's going to be pushed out, depending on how long that project is delayed. Uptown Apartments, we expect that in the next, actually in 2022, we'll start getting some funding back to them based on tax capture as they open up and start opening up to residents on that site. Harrison Troy, same thing, they are delayed, so that may push them back a little bit as well, but projections are there from what we originally anticipated. So that's on the revenue side, and the expenditures going out, typical administrative fees and audit fees. So TCF Bank gets that portion of the capture on the taxes. So we'll be writing them a check. We do that every year. It's a small amount. We send it to TCF. They never contact us. They never, it's like, we just do our thing because that was the original agreement. We'll send it to them and that's what it is. It's a little bit of money. Nowhere covers what they originally invested in that site, but it was part of the original deal that happened. Payment to MGR, you see it's all blank there, again, because that's the revolving loan fund and we're paying back the city, not MJR on that. Somerset Shops projections going forward, 480, coming up in the next budget year. Regency of Troy, that's going to be probably pushed back because they are delayed. Uptown Apartments and Harrison Troy as well. So if you look at that, you can see the revolving fund being singled out at the bottom of the page. That kind of shows where that is coming from and the dollars associated with that based upon prior budgets and then going forward as well. Now on the next page, it details the tax capture and the millage for each project. So it shows the dollars coming in. It shows the capture on that as well. So to give you a better idea on a project by project basis. The next page just goes through our millage rates, give you an idea of what's being captured and which taxes that's falling under. And in the back, the MJR revolving loan fund schedule shows how the fund basically is paying back the city and what we put out in the very beginning as well. So that kind of gives you an overview of the budget going forward. Fairly similar to prior years, just that we have to keep an eye on the projects that are being delayed and how that's going to impact the project. And if there's any changes due to the COVID-19 and the issues that we've run into in terms of from an assessing standpoint, and the capture that we bring in. And Rob, not sure if you want to add anything to that portion of it.
So Chairman Gottlieb, you had mentioned about the assessed values. We learned in the last recession in 08 and 09 that it's a little bit delayed in about 2 years, any type of impact on that taxable value. But in this situation with the brownfields, this is a lot of expenditure. And if you look at that second page of that budget, you'll see that these taxable value, there's a base taxable value. And so if they go forward with these projects, there will be a taxable value that will get captured for the brownfields. It just might be reduced, and it has to get above that base taxable value. And I'd say in summary, it's just too early to tell what the long-term impact will be on these properties.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Glenn, the delays, there's probably will be delays on a couple of those projects, especially because they're behind now. But again, based upon our budget, those delays, we're not showing anything till 22. So the budget that we're approving should have no impact, correct?
Correct.
I move approval of the budget as presented.
I second that as well.
Moved by Joseph Vaselli, seconded by Rosemary. That we move forward. Mr. Lapin, would you give us the roll call vote, please?
Chair Steve Gottlieb,
Yes.
Rosemary Kornacki,
Yes.
Carolina Noguez Ortiz,
Yes.
Joe Vasallo. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, motion carries, and next we move to board member comment. Joseph, you're at the bottom left. I'll just
None
move
for me.
across to the right. None? Carolina?
None.
Any comment?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary?
I do. Just wondering, Mark and Glenn, are any folks knocking on your door, looking down the road? What do you see? Is it just stop dead, or are there folks thinking we're going to get through this quickly, and they're poking around in Troy? What's going on?
It is not stop dead. I can tell you that there are projects that are continuing to look towards the future. In fact, just prior to this meeting, I got off a call, sharing some plans on a particular site. So developers, architects, they're moving forward on their original plans and changing plans, as needed. So no, there's still a lot of planning activity going on out there, and I'm encouraged that hopefully when a few months go by, hopefully we get beyond all this. Hopefully we'll see more progress in terms of development.
And I'm speculating on the health of Somerset Mall.
The health of Somerset Mall.
Yes. I heard things about Nordstrom's and Macy's and what have you. So I know it's just speculation. Any idea how healthy they are?
Well, Neiman Marcus, as you know, has filed, nationally, I think for Chapter 11 potentially. Macy's has had their issues, so it's kind of what retail centers go through. Somerset is certainly one of the most profitable centers in the country. So they're very savvy at getting the right tenant mix over there. So I'm pretty confident that they will, if somebody leaves or whatever, they're going to find additional tenants to make up the space.
Good to hear. I'm looking forward to going shopping again.
Yeah.
You won't be the only one with a mask here. As far as comments by the chair, I would just like to thank you all for doing this challenging go-to-meeting environment, and I appreciate everybody's participation, and look forward to our next meeting. I have nothing else unless there's somebody else with something for the good of the group.
Yeah, just want to mention the public comment as well. We received no public comment either by phone or by email. So that's for that. Also, I did get a text from Rami Swiden. He tried to connect. He says he could not. He said there was looking for a password. And I told him there was no password. And then when he tried to reconnect again, he said it expired. So as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, there are difficulties in these kind of meetings, but which we will, try and get through. So there's an example of one right there.
Yeah, I also had to, I just shut it all down and restarted. So that is often the case with technology. That's the simplest fix. All right, well, are there any other comments? If there's no other comments, then we'll adjourn the meeting and thank you all.
Wish everybody a safe.